Hello and welcome to Carspotting, where we go try to find interesting cars parked on the street. As you can see, we are in the middle of Manhattan in New York City, the most sort of classically anti-car city in the country. But even though it's really difficult to own a car here, almost impossible to have a car in a garage, you do find sort of interesting little pockets of car culture out, and you find it on the street, again, because no one can really afford to keep a car out of it. So it means we get to go find interesting things parked on the street. Let's go find some interesting things. Oh, and this lady's gonna go. Now I can go. Do 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 do. Cars. Already an STI. One car. Correctly found one. Here's a delivery vehicle, which is also a Mercedes SUV. Excuse me. Are you the person in charge of this vehicle?
Yes, I am indeed.
Wow. What
Sweaty though I may be, yes.
what a great chance it is that we just bumped into you.
Fantastic.
Can you tell me what this is in front of us?
This one, officially, it's a 1980 London taxi, which means it's a...
It looks like just about every other car from 1980, right?
No, not really. They've been building them exactly this shape. It's a London taxi. They've been building them this shape from 1954 to 1997. It's got a straight 4 2.7 turbo diesel engine.
Wow.
And then I have the only decent fish and chip shop in America, a Salt and Battery. So what I did was I converted it so it has a second tank in the back and it runs on filtered cooking oil.
This is, I think, very interesting. Not only is it sort of fun to see one of these things popping around on the street because it's right-hand drive and all that, but I think it's interesting in the history of cars. You see these old Austin cabs, and they just made them the exact same way for decades.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only thing that really changed as technology improved, they made all the running gear and the drivetrain better. This one has the turbo diesel 2.7 Nissan engine.
Which would have probably gone back to when there was like weird Nissan UK stuff in the 80s, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think it was it's a good stock engine. It was used for small trucks in the UK.
Despite being a hoster of the United Kingdom,
Yes.
it is a bit of a classic New York vehicle.
It is. I mean, it's been in let's see, it was in Wall Street 2. It's been a couple of episodes of Elementary with Johnny Lee Miller,
No way.
Lucy Liu. It's been in a bunch of commercials.
I imagine it's also pretty practical.
Construction crap right now.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Because it's registered as a commercial vehicle, so it's not allowed to have a back seat.
This is the most eloquent interview we've done.
Fantastic. It's nice to be good at something.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for showing us this
Thank you
whole
very much.
thing.
Sorry it's a bit messy. I should have cleaned it.
No, not at all. You didn't know we were coming.
No, you should have called ahead.
Next time we would have called ahead. The reason why this show is terrible is because the guy who's giving you a walking tour of New York has only lived here for 10 years. But before I moved to New York, people would always tell me stories about how they'd bump into the craziest things happening, total kismet, never heard of something before. They end up in a South Asian wrestling competition or something. And I was like, yeah, but that won't really happen. And then you just bump into random people on the street who are, running the city's best chip shop, fish and chip shop, who's got his car outside. It's weird how it actually happens. This clothes fell off. Someone help! It's uncovered. Don't look. It's bad. No. Don't look at it. Let's do the typical New York move of probably questionably walking through the middle of traffic to check out this. Yeah. This thing's sick. This is what you call a 4-liter Jeep. This is a Jeep XJ Cherokee. And as you can see, because it says so on the side, and I'm a hack who doesn't really know anything about cars, but I can read. It's a Cherokee Classic, which is interesting. It sort of follows the theme of sort of old cars which were in production for a long time. The XJ Cherokee came out in sort of like the second gas crisis years, I guess, but they made it for an absurd number of, like a really, really long period of time. So based on looks alone, you would sort of think that this is a car from like maybe the early 90s, but let's go see how old it actually is. Yeah, it's actually from 1998. This does not look like a car of 1998. That's because they just made the dang thing for years and years and years. Why is that? Because Jeep didn't have a ton of money, and the SUV boom was going on in the 90s, and they were selling them. They didn't really need to change them very much at all, even though it basically looked like a box on wheels. 4-liter Jeep. This is an old straight six that they made for a gazillion years, which is virtually, you know, indestructible, super easy to get parts for, and as such, these vehicles have a lot longer life than you would expect of a sort of affordable and sort of disposable off-road vehicle. They made them for so long and they're so common that it's still easy to find them sort of for an affordable price, which is why you find ones like this, which have been repaired with actual, like, screws, like not even a car screw. It's like a furniture screw or something. You can see this guy has probably blown off the bumper a couple times, but he's repaired it with some sort of PVC pipe or something. If my coworker David Tracy was here, he would have been able to tell me sort of what's probably been modified about this guy, other than just that it's got beefier wheels and tires. Well, that's all. This guy is probably off-road the hell out of this thing. Because look at it. There. Something's been taped. That's been reaffixed. This is broken. That's an impact. So is this. And this. And that. Nice dent. Continuing a nice long scrape. Either this has been in like a serious crash and just kept going, or he was like maybe like off-roading and there was like a big rock and he just keeps dragging. Look, it's still going. And there's a ding there. And it's worn down there too. I love this thing. It is like so used. As far as I'm concerned, this is what like 90% of cars should look like. Really, really used. I had a cousin who shoots car commercials. He shoots car commercials, and he comes to me and he goes, "Raphael, I've shot a cheap commercial." He's German. And I go, "A cheap commercial? That's great. I'm glad to hear it." I'm like, "I don't. What are you talking about?" He goes, "Jeep, you know, off-road, Jeep." I go, "Oh, Jeep commercial." So that was a great episode of Carspotting. We saw a lot of cool cars. We saw that cool taxi cab. We saw that XJ Cherokee. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one. We'll go to a different neighborhood. We'll find some more interesting cars. Hopefully some more interesting owners. Not that the last one was boring. Maybe some cool drivers who we can talk to. Delivery people who run a mechanic shop. Whatever. Anyway, stay tuned for the next one. Take care. Ciao. He's got an illegal plate location. This is another, just going to make it hot for this guy. Don't do that. You will not pass inspection.